It's one of my favorite pathakeys about Ogun and Oshun.
Ogun, he represents technology. He represents, tools and iron and things like that.
Bruto y sabio al mismo tiempo. Es un guerrero, protector de todo el trabajador, los enfermos. En sus bailes siempre vamos a encontrar movimientos que representan trabajo, guerra.
Ogun goes to the forest and he's working. When he comes back, he's dirty, he's been working, and he's rejected. He's rejected by the people.
Tú llegas al trono, te sientes en el trono cansado, y ellos, ¡sal, quítate! Y tú te paras violento. Soy yo. Haces un movimiento, Adrián, y ellos se quedan estáticos, congelados. Se quedan ahí, con algo que tú lo haces. Le quitas el poder del hierro. Le quitas el poder del hierro. Lo recoges otra vez. Y te vas con el poder.
And when he went into the forest, everything just stopped as far as mineral and iron, things that we need to survive, it stopped.
Cuando ellos vuelven en sí, de esta así, las herramientas de trabajo, no hay.
The people realize how much they lean on this in order to operate.
Different Orishas, they went in to try to get Ogun to come out.
And none of them were successful, not Yemaya, not Shango, not Oya.
Hasta que esa diosa bella entre las bellas, esa diosa del amor, esa diosa de la dulzura, esa gran diosa de las aguas dulces, Oshun.
And Oshun was the one that was able to go in and make her stuff up her porridge and bring him out so that everything could come back to where it's supposed to be.
One of the things I love about our approach to spiritual conversations as African people is that you can find yourself in a story.
I'll tell you, some of the things that I've gotten from this story, because I'm sure there's more than one lesson. I think about her role a lot in this story. Sometimes people think, it's just she's sexy and, she was able to pull out this man from the forest. But if you think about the way that she did it, she didn't go directly to the problem, right? She kind of worked her way around. She went to the side. She found a little space for herself. And taking off your clothes is not always just about sexiness, right? It's about being vulnerable. I find a lesson in that. Sometimes if I have a problem that's happening and or somebody that's doing something that they shouldn't be doing, maybe I shouldn't just go directly to them and wave my finger at them. Maybe I need to kind of go to the side and make myself vulnerable. And be a little bit more compassionate about what they're going through and let them know that I'm just here. I'm here for you.
Bele, bele, ile, bele, bele, yaliaba, liaba. Yaliaba, liaba, yaliaba, yaliaba, lia. Háblalo. Escúchalo ahora, mi hermano.
Welcome back, everybody, to this very special screening of The Ancestors Live, 50 Years of Kulu Mele, a film by Aiden Un, who is with us today as well as the incredible group Kulu Mele, of which we have quite a few members as well. My name is Naomi Stern Vijaysinha, and I am the Executive Director at the Philadelphia Folklore Project. And we are so grateful to be in the presence of all our friends and family at Kulu Mele today for this screening. And as promised, we're going to follow with a talkback session with all of us. I'm just going to moderate, and we have many special guests. As I mentioned before, we do have Aiden Un, the filmmaker, as well as the artistic and music directors from Kulu Mele, Mama Dottie and Baba Wilk. Mm-hmm. We also have Ira Bond and hopefully Alma Schley, who will be joining us shortly. And we are also joined by the Folklore Project's founder, Deborah Kodesh, who's also been working with Kulu Mele all through her time with PFP and ever since. So it's going to be a really wonderful conversation. As I said, I'll be moderating and posing some questions, but for all who are joining us live, you can also feel free to send questions through the Facebook Live link. And Eric Morales is monitoring that, and he will bring your questions forward to the panel. And we'll keep it pretty warm, intimate, informal, and we can just kind of improvise as we go. So to get started, I'm hoping that everybody can introduce themselves in response to a very kind of open-ended question that I'll pose to the group, which is, we were just saying how it was so moving to see this film, right? We all saw it in the beginning a few times, and then we saw it again now as part of this event. It's been 14 months since the premiere of Ogun and the People, and since the film came out. And so I'm curious if each of you can share a little bit about what it's like to see the film now, more than a year later, during Black History Month, on Valentine's Day, and amidst a very changed world, right? So there's just a lot of different energy about this day that we're seeing it, and a lot of time has passed. And I'm wondering if you can just reflect on what it's like for you to see the film and remember back to the incredible accomplishment that this work was. And maybe we want to start with Mama Dottie and Baba Wilk.
Well, it was amazing to see it again. It's not only Ogun and the People, it was some of our history, Kulu Mele's histories and Wilk and myself history. And I just looked at, it was a lot of work to get that together. And like I said, I enjoyed it. It was hard work, but I enjoyed it. And Aiden just did an amazing job capturing so much. Like I was telling Wilk, I said, we have to have this set aside for our family, for the children, because this is our history. And it's just, it's amazing. It fills me up.
All those pictures I was putting on the wall. I wasn't thinking I wasn't thinking that I was going to say this for history, but I was saying this is my history. And I want to, put it on the wall so people can see, especially see themselves. And people was giving me pictures to put up there. I know, like Spunky, Vernon, he gave me a picture to put up there, him playing a kora, So it's really nice. And then we had pictures of us when we were young and when we was partying, there's all kinds of pictures in there. But I never thought it would have an impact like it did on different people.
And it's history that we want to keep, and Aiden captured it.
Yeah.
And then he just mentioned that he was talking about adding some more onto it. Like, this is like a book on screen.
How can you get it to your kids, though? How can you get it to the kids?
I'm going to keep that link, Aiden. We're going to keep that link, right? So it'll keep working forever.
Well, maybe Aiden, maybe that's your cue. What is it like as the filmmaker to view the film after over a year and think about maybe some of the purposes you didn't think of originally, or some things you might want to add? I know this project just seems to grow every time we discuss it.
To hear you say that it's been 14 months since the show premiered was kind of shocking because, in some ways it feels like it was just yesterday that we were all sitting there at the Annenberg, you know, that we watched the group play and, you know, and perform. And it feels like it was just yesterday. So that, you know, to be reminded of how much time has actually passed is a little bit shocking, you know. And then, you know, as the filmmaker, I spent a lot of time with that film. You know, you know, the actual filming process and the editing we accomplished over, I think, just under 2 years, or
Yeah.
maybe about a year and a half. And towards the end of that, you know, I sat with the film every day for multiple hours, and I got very familiar with it. And after, you know, and after we screened it with the performance and it kind of went out into the world, I didn't watch it as much, you know. In fact, I think this is probably the first time I watched it in a while, and it's a, you know, it just becomes something completely different, you know, where you know, and now I can see kind of new things in it, and some of those things are informed by what's going on now, right? Like a lot of details that I didn't even think about at that time have now become special already. Like just seeing, you know, a lot of bodies in one room, you know, just sweating together and dancing together, singing together. I mean, you know, it's crazy to think that at that time we already knew that it was something special, right? And that what we were witnessing was something special, but some of the ways in which it was special, we still didn't even know yet, right? And now just looking back on it now, I mean, I just want to be in that room again. Like I just want to be with people singing and dancing, you know, and you know, not having to worry about, you know, about distance and
Yeah.
the things that come in between us, right? So it's kind of amazing to me to watch it and see like that at that time what Kulu Mele was doing, and Mama Dadi and the dancers and the musicians was doing, was already kind of breaking down barriers, right? And laboring really, like working hard to recreate a connection in between people, and that was already true at that time. And now that it's only, you know, all the more true now that you know that we live, you know, in a time of separation and isolation that's being taken to, you know, an even higher degree. So, you know, like Deborah has mentioned, you know, it really is medicine. It feels like medicine.
It's so liberatory too. I think the combination of the message, the film, the story, and also just the nature of the art form. You know, you feel freedom in the film, and yeah, being in confinement, we feel it even more. You're right. It's definitely exacerbated in that way. Ira, how about over to you?
Peace, everybody. You know, I would first, you know, giving respect and honor to Mama Dadi and Baba Wilkie. You know, as elders, I'm glad you know, the tradition is you always ask for permission and, you know, give respect to our elders first. So, and that, I feel like that came across in the video, like a ton of ways, which I could talk about, you know, giving respect to the creator, to our source of life, and then also to our ancestors, you know, whose shoulders we standing on and whose wings we're being carried by. You know, it's not something we just say, but it's like definitely a reality, especially when you look at the images in that video and you look at all of the people who, you know, are not on this plane with us today, but, you know, whose memories live in our hearts, and we know we wouldn't be here without them, you know. Like that's something that Baba Kwesi said inside of when he was introducing Baba Crowder. He was saying this is the father to us all, you know. And for folks that come from Philly, there's no way you could talk about the roots of what we do here culturally without talking about, you know, Baba. So we give respect to, you know, our ancestors. you know, I feel a lot like what Baba Wilk was talking about. He said something that I didn't really peep to, you know, the first time I watched the video. He said, you know, from the 50s, he felt like he got shot through a cannon. And I was cracking up because I was like, wow, I kind of feel like I was shot through a cannon, you know, like, you know, in other words, time just passes so quickly.
How long you been in Kulu Mele?
It has to been at least over, it might be 10 years. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
At least 10.
Yeah.
You got shot.
Yeah, I got a shot.
All you doing is coming to rehearsals and doing gigs and shows.
Right. Well, they say, you know, if you think about time takes a long time. You know, it takes a long time. But when you kind of forget about it and you enjoy it and you doing the work, then you get lost in it, you know. And that's the way I want to be. I don't want to be looking at the clock every second. You know, we be in school and you look at the clock waiting for 3 o'clock to come, and a minute feels like forever. But not doing what we do, you know. And so those 14 months, you know, pass by, you know, and it's like just amazing what we accomplished. But and I'm happy that like we're building for eternity, you know, like we have the means now with the technology to really document and have like this kind of information available when we long gone. So it's not like it can't get lost. You know, it never would be, but you know, it's like really, really documented. So I was laughing when Mama Dottie was like, "We're gonna keep that link." You know? But I mean, you know, it's important to have like places like the Philadelphia Folklore Project, because archiving is a part of what that's a part of the process. And when you have a culture like African culture that like puts so much emphasis on like the his or her story context, like where we come from, you know, you gotta have the archive. So, you know, I think, you know, Aiden and of course Ms. Kodish, Deborah Kodish, for having a vision to be able to have something where we can like really like give justice to this kind of art form and document it.
And so Deborah, what about you?
I get so choked up just watching it again. It's and I think the feeling that's in the piece is so much part of the art form and the experience, and it's a real gift that everybody felt so comfortable with Aiden, and that conveys on the screen. But you know, we gave Aiden a really you know, this was a 50th anniversary project for Kulu Mele, we probably should say. So there was a lot of trying to think about, well, what's the right way to preserve and document and share and name that history. And Aiden was charged with telling the story of Kulu Mele, 50 years, telling the story of Ogun and the people, and telling the story of now, connecting it to now. And when I think about the powerful message of the Pataki and the way that, and you know, I mean, when Dottie first asked me to get involved with this, you know, you told me the story of the Pataki, and it's rebalancing the world with love and stepping out, you know, with a sense of hope and how you can make change. And I thought, that's your story. That's the Kulu Mele story. And I think it comes out so beautifully in the film. But in terms of this very moment, how relevant is this? Like, this world is so out of whack. And this, in a way, we lived through this with the film, with the experience of thinking about what does that mean to rebalance the world. And of course, this is Black Lives Mattering. This is like Black freedom embodied, and it's 50 years of that. So the quality of Kulu Mele that you're able to see on the film is just really a gift. I'm just thankful to have been part of it, and it's always such a treat to see it again.
I never seen myself doing that dance, the slop. I never seen myself.
Oh my God!
I never seen myself do that until I seen that. I kept thinking that my legs was going to give out on me. Because I'm thinking about my legs now. But and we was kind of up in age doing that. When I was young, you do that 5-6 times a night, you know what I mean? But I never seen myself do that dance, and that took me out.
Right. I was shocked when Deborah had gave it to Aiden, and Aiden presented it to the company, and we were sitting looking at it, and then all of a sudden, that was the first thing that popped up on that video. And I said, I've been trying to get this, because that performance was for Odunde, for Lois Fernandez, and she had commissioned me to do Hucklebuck to hip hop, like from the 50s up until, I guess it's the 90s then, so many years and passed by. And we was doing dances from the 50s and hip hop dancing. And I always wanted a copy of that. And I'm sitting there rehearsing, all of a sudden we see this video I say, where did Aiden get that from? The Folklore Project got a lot of archives down there that a lot of history is in the Folklore Project. A lot of history. I remember when Deborah just had an office. And I was going to see Deborah. I swear I met Deborah at Hucklebuck the Hip Hop Commission. She told me to come see her. I'm so glad I did. And I watched the Folklore Project grow, from an office to where you are now.
That being said, maybe we'll jump around and we'll come back to my other question, because that's a beautiful segue into that conversation about the archives. And Baba Wilk, I love that too, because that's another power of the archives, right? It kind of it takes us out of our body. It reminds us of times past. And I've had that too, where I see pictures and I'm like, oh, wow, no way, and it just takes you right back to another time. So Deborah and Dottie, do you want to maybe talk a little bit more about that growth of the Folklore Project in conjunction with a lot of the work of Kulu Mele and some of the kind of intersectional role, the partnerships that you had over the years, and how some of that amazing footage ended up in the archives and being able to be used for the film?
Well, Deborah came to me and told me she could, you need to come and see me because, I can help you. And I said, do you know about a grant for this and a grant for that? And she really just helped Kulu Mele, and Baba Crowder used to come to her as well. And so she helped us, establish, getting the company together, administratively, that part of it, because we had the artistic part together, but the administrative part we didn't. And Deborah helped us get that, and different festivals and stuff that the Folklore Project gave, and like different cultures come here in Philadelphia, and somehow they get to the Folklore Project, and the Folklore Project would help the culture be presented, give people that's from another place a chance to give them a platform. So, when I was getting Ogun and the people together, I said, Deborah is the person to go to for that. But I had came to her with other projects, and I said, Deborah, I need your help. And she said, no, I'm retired. I'm writing a book.
No, you asked me to be on the board. I said, no more meetings.
Yeah. No more meetings. Right. So then I said, well, maybe she'll go for this. Because I had these visions,
Yeah.
So, I went to Deborah and, I told her my visions and with the Ogun and the people. And she helped form a team that, an amazing team with, stuff that we never had before, like a stage person, a sound person, what else is it? What else? All this stuff that we had to make Ogun and the people get together. So I was so glad that you went for that, Deborah.
Well, me too. But Dottie, I was going to say for Hucklebuck to Hip Hop, that was that's a book that we did out of it, and these are testimonies from you, Baba Wilk and Dottie. So that was a project that Odunde was doing.
What year was that?
1994.
1994.
So, and we always kept a copy of whatever documentation when we were helping other groups. So Odunde had it, but we also kept a copy. But that project is a really interesting one to think about, because Lois was trying to fight racism, and she made the bop the city dance of Philadelphia, because she said, I'm going to make sure it's not the mummer's strut. And it was also part of gentrification. She was really paying attention to how there weren't places for people to gather and do social dance. And African-American social dancers, people were such innovators like you guys, but so many people, you talked about Otis in here, so many people who were just incredibly known within North Philly, West Philly, South Philly. And it was Lois's idea to let's show the next generation, let's show the city how important Black dance is. And that was a struggle, because trying to get funding for it, it was hard to get even the National Endowment for the Arts, who funded this particular thing at that point, to understand that they should understand social dance as urban vernacular social dance, or urban vernacular folk dance, I think is what Jerry Davis, a wonderful African-American folklorist, used as a way to name this, to try to get people to take it seriously. So I'm just saying that a lot of this stuff came out of efforts to respect and to pay homage to these really significant African-American and community-based art forms. So it was a privilege to be pulled in to think about, how do we break some of those doors down? How do we value what's important? And that particular, I was at that performance. It was amazing. And people were screaming then when you all were dancing, just as they did when Aiden showed the film. So I think one of the things that I think makes the Folklore Project Archive unique is that it's a lot about what is important to people. How do we hold on to that and let that be driving the agenda? But also, but at that thing, I had known Kulu Mele for a long time, but I remember saying, oh, you guys aren't getting funding. You should, come to some of these grants, workshops, whatever. So Dottie, I've been scribing your vision for a long time, because
and Barbara Crowder.
And Barbara Crowder, but you in particular, you always had great ideas about where you wanted to go. So really, my job was just to write it down and to translate it a little bit for funders. And that's all in the archive too. So the archive is really the record of what we all did together and what you're doing together with other people. So that's my 2 cents. Oh, but wait a minute. But so that all got carried over. I was supposed to talk about the book, right?
Right.
So when it came to doing the 50th, there was lots and lots of interviews and conversations, and we produced this book where it's the 50th as told by Baba Wilk and Dottie. And Ira wrote a brilliant essay about education and what's the Kulu Mele education method, like what's African-centered education like. Amma, you talked about your experiences there. Aiden, it was a wonderful way to make permanent some kind of a collaboration, to make community knowledge, because the real archive is what people know themselves. And these are all just little parts of it. All right, that's enough of me.
You got a coloring book too. You got the coloring book?
I do have the coloring book. Wait. Well, somewhere I have to.
Okay, you know where the coloring book is?
Deborah has a lot of books.
Say the archive lives behind, it's still going.
There it is. That's the coloring book. So those 2 books came out of Ogun and the People.
I hung up on the wall the poster. It's way bigger than it looks. The timeline.
Thank you. No, thank you, Deborah. That's so. I think it's really important for that to be said too, because I think it's important, like that mission of the archive, right, of being a record of what's important to people. And I also think that's very central to PFP's mission, right? What's important to people. So the organization, rather than having, a specific artistic vision for itself, is very much about being a platform, as Dottie says, right? And being a platform about what's important to people in Philadelphia, widening the record of
what we think of as Philadelphia history and Philadelphia culture, aligning with important social movements that use tradition, right? And ideas of channeling the ancestors for social change. So, I love that we can bring that part out, because I think sometimes archives are seen as the past, but like not in the most exciting of ways. It's like, oh yes, we're done with the project and we'll put some stuff in the archive and we'll keep a record. But I think what this does and what film does, and celebrations of, say, like a 50th anniversaries, it really gives you that chance to reflect back on the importance of having that record, right? And kind of having all those documents, and they remain very, very relevant to the movements and the energy and the things that we need to do today, right? And so there's a lot of social power. I think archives can be very political and very alive. And so I think that it really, it shows that. Speaking of the 50th and the fact that obviously the 50th was many things, right? And this film was a part of that. It was also the premiere of the work, Ogun and the People. There was the book and the coloring book and many, many aspects of that celebration. I'm wondering if we can sort of start at the beginning of this 50th and the beginning of the Ogun and the People project. And maybe if Aiden and Dottie can talk a little bit, as well as others, feel free to jump in, but talk a little bit about how that project came to be. Obviously, we know how you got Deborah involved, that piece. We see how you charmed her. But, what was the impetus and the inspiration behind the project and the film, and what were you hoping to achieve with this project?
Ogun and the People was a culmination of all the stuff, all the knowledge we had and put together. And that show was just like it was supposed to be. It was authentic. Just like the shows in Cuba. There were Cubans there. One Cuban, the one from Santiago, came to me. He was almost in tears. Said how much he enjoyed it, and took him back home. And he knew all the people that taught us. And he was in the audience. He was in the audience. He's here in Queensland. And more than all of them, they give us our props. Because we didn't contort it. It was right, and it was always, that was my dream, to have singers, drummers, and dancers, and have everything changing like that. It was a masterpiece. Ogun People was a masterpiece. It took a lot of work. And, Dottie was saying, so I want to do this. So People, all I could think about was all the changes that the rhythm changes that you had to do for all those Orishas to come out and to try to get Ogun, out of the forest.
Right.
There's a lot of musical changes, but everything went just like it was. And I'm proud of Brother Ira hanging right in there.
Thank you, Baba.
Playing Kokolo, he was hanging right in there.
It was a learning experience for all of us, really.
He was playing. He played with Kenny and Christian. They were seasoned in it. The Ira just coming along. He just just like a young man. We're right on to it. I was very proud of that. That Ogun and the People was a masterpiece. We've done a lot of shows with Orishas and everything, but never quite like that.
And I met Aiden over, Deborah helped form this team, and Aiden was the videographer for this project. And we started having these meetings. I used to love these meetings because they had good little snacks and stuff on the table. And we got to I got to meet Aiden and got to know him. And I have seen him around, but I really got to meet him during this time for Ogun and the People, and having these meetings at Deborah's house, and some at my house and some at Ife's house. And Ife did an amazing job as well. The work that she did with the stage design and our flyers, and the work that she did was amazing as well. There's just so much went into this. we just became a family. So we started meeting. I started looking forward to the meetings. But like it was a lot of work and a lot of planning, a lot of thinking. And Aiden had his equipment to start pulling out his cameras and start filming everything here and there. He did his job.
Aiden got a way of being there, and you don't pay him no attention.
Right.
And he just film everything.
The next thing you know, you see a camera looking at you. And I said, there he is.
He told me, she look, Baba, can I film you stringing that drum? Okay. He filmed everything.
Right, he filmed me out there watering my plants and asking me questions about Baba and
So the things up in the top of the porch.
Yes, I got the chimes. The chimes on the porch. He was filming the chimes. I said, he just got everything. But he did a good job. I just love his work. I love his work. We did I might be jumping things, but we did a coming out video. Like you see a lot of videos that's on Kulu Mele's website, that some of Aiden's work that he did, and it's really amazing. The coming out video is something that it was like another video like Ogun and the people. Because we was, and he helped me think that out too, because I told him my plans, like I come with a vision and I get these people to help me put it out there. So, we was in my cellar, we was in the park, we was on 5th Street at Tallier. We was all over the place. Yeah. So, he's nice to work with. Aiden, you're very nice to work with. We're gonna hold on to you.
Yeah.
Mama Daddy.
Were you famous before we met you? Or
No, I'm not famous yet.
I want to work with you now.
Like Lamora wanted him. He's working with Lamora.
I think Aiden is humble, actually. I think in Philadelphia you are famous, Aiden, because when I got here, I kept hearing that you were the go-to. You were the person to call for documentary film. But I think it's really special, what also what Mama Dottie is saying too, about how you sort of just slipped in there, and or like what Baba Wilk was saying, or he doesn't realize you're there and you're filming, right? Like that's definitely the mark of deep documentation and documentary work, where you sort of blend in. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about your process for creating the film and what drew you to the project, right? What made this speak to you as a project that you did want to invest this kind of time and energy into?
I think I'm gonna go off what Mama Daddy and Baba Wilkie were just saying. Actually, it's funny to hear you say that I got everything, because I think the truth is that when I came into the project, I didn't know what everything was, right? And that by spending time with you, by spending time with Kulu Mele, by going to Cuba, by hearing stories of of the people who've made the history of this city, who've brought culture, who brought ways of thinking, who've brought memories to life, right? I began to see. I began to be able to see, kind of what you see in the city, right, and what you see around you. So I think for me, it's just it was a process of learning. So when you say, that I filmed you when you were watering the plants, right, like on your porch, I got inspiration from that, watching Baba Ira do libation on stage, right? And how you always bring a plant out there, and when you say somebody's name or when you speak an entity's name, you pour a little bit of water, right, to kind of signify that that things stay growing, right, and that we keep feeding them when we remember them. That's really why I picked that moment for you to talk about Baba Crowder, because it seemed appropriate in that way. But yeah, to rewind a little bit, you know, when the group first came to me to document the project, I think the goal at the outset was to make a 15-minute video. And I think we had outlined, you know, like a few hours of work a month or something. I can't really remember what the details were, but I do know that as soon as I stepped into those meetings and saw the care and the attention and the excitement that was being put into the project, that it was contagious, right? You know, you know, I saw not, you know, I came in not knowing much about the group. I had seen them do a performance or two around the city, you know, and you know, had loved what they'd done, but I didn't know much about the history of the group. And for me, it was just such a vivid learning experience, you know, just in terms of going back into their history and just learning about, you know, about Baba Crowder and Baba Peachy and all these people who had brought culture into the city. Just made me able to kind of like look at the landscape of the city now, and to look at the cultural groups, to look at the to look at the institutions in the city, and to have a better understanding as to how they came into being, right? You know, as to why we have Odunde, as to you know, as to why we have a rumba scene in Philly, you know, as to why we have a capoeira scene in Philly, you know. I mean, scene, you know, scene might not be the right word, but as to why these things exist and are very much alive. So so you know, so when we started filming, I think I quickly realized that 15 minutes was clearly not going to be enough if we wanted to tell a full story. And yeah, and I think the truth is that I got really invested in the story, and it became on many levels. It became it was it came at the intersection of a lot of questions that I had about my own life, right, and about what I was doing in Philadelphia, right. So I think, you know, just to say one last thing is that to watch how the group and how the artists in the group have kind of reached back for culture and have you know, have gone out to find culture and to find these ways of being to enrich their lives here, really, you know, really came at a time for me when I was thinking a lot about my own heritage and how to form a meaningful connection to it. And it was just really, you know, it was just really inspiring, you know, to just see the amount of work and the amount of love that was put into, you know, that was put into that learning, you know, and so you know, the making of the film, you know, it didn't feel like effort at all. It didn't feel like an effort at all. It was just, you know, the story just told itself.
Captured a lot. You really did, you know. You know, from talk about the hip hop, Odunde, a lot more, you know.
Yeah.
You captured a lot.
Boy, so, have Bobby Crowder's great granddaughter perform in Ogun and the People was also a highlight for me. That really touched me. You know, I know Bob's smiling now. You know.
Right, that's his great
granddaughter in it.
But actually, but you know, I don't think it's a coincidence that was the image that was used in the end. But I have to say that I didn't even know that was his great granddaughter. So so I think, you know, it
makes it more special, right? Yeah.
There was a drummer named Lucashe who was a great drummer. His great granddaughter was in it.
And the grandmother is a famous singer in New York.
Yeah, his grandmother is a famous singer. Yeah,
her grandmother. Yeah, so it's all, you know, it's passing the torch, because I'm I will retire next year, 2021, and then passing the torch to Ama Chalet. And hopefully, I think that she has the same vision that I have, and she will continue to pass on Kulu Mele's legacy.
That's a perfect transition to our next topic, which is learning and teaching. And I'm so glad that Ama is here now. I've got a couple of questions geared definitely towards this next generation, right, of passing the torch with Ama and Ira. And one question from the audience that I think connects a little with what Baba Wilk was talking about as well was someone is curious a little bit about what was the process of casting for this production. How does Kulu Mele decide who's going to perform what roles? You know, what is the sort of structure of the company like when it comes to who's going to dance what?
That comes from Mama Dottie. First, Mama Dottie knows, she has a good eye. She goes by, who can
do what?
Who can portray the character? Yeah, who can portray the character well? She likes to change, like, I'm not speaking for Ogoni people, but in general, she likes to change characters with each, like with different with different dancers in the company, to give us come on, Mama, help me.
A chance to let it go, to express yourself, to bring out the best of you.
Yes. So I like that about what Mama does. But regarding Ogudi and the people, basically she knew who the characters were.
Right, the right ones for the right Orisha.
Yes. And it was up to us to bring that character out.
Book was talking about the children for Elegua, that your class, your children's class, Ama.
Yes.
How we picked out which ones that would be in the performance. We picked the ones that we thought could project the Elegua good.
Yes, in a short period of time, right. Because it was right, Mama. It was we didn't have much time.
Right, because you was rehearsing to get their show together, and plus we wanted to put in our stuff. So
yes.
So that was a good time, and we picked the right ones. They did a wonderful job.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
they did.
We used to come every Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we had rehearsed with them every Saturday.
Yep. So basically, Mama knew, and she gave me, she let me know, and it's my job to make sure, along with everyone else, to make sure we are ready and on point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did an amazing job. I remember being very, very struck actually by your presence on the stage during the show. I'm very grateful that this all happened when it did too, because I know Aiden was talking about, I'm very grateful that the project took on a life of its own, and it grew from, really a selfish perspective, because when I was new to PFP, this was one of the first things that I interacted with, literally a few days on the job. That's how I met Aiden and Deborah coming in to use the archive for the film. And then I had the chance to be at the premiere and was really blown away by the film and the performance. And it really, it's interesting. I know that, people, you say, Ama, in the film that the experience you wanted, it kind of reminded you why you do what you do, right? And you wanted to hold on to that for all the hard days when you're sort of wondering how to get through. And, just the experience of observing this project and watching the film for me reminded me why I came to PFP, why I came to Philadelphia. So it's been a wonderful learning experience and introduction for me to the city and to, your work, your guys' work here. I know a lot of people talk about the experience of going to Cuba and this work being transformative. And I'm wondering if you and Ira and others, of course, might talk a little bit about what you learned from this process, how and if you feel it changed you as artists and as people.
Thank you for that. It's definitely transformative. So I think, you know, I got a chance to work with. I mean, I was definitely, you know, working on the music and trying to get my chops together on the bata. And of course, like Baba Wilkie said, you know, just maybe talking musically about just the musical situation. You know, bata. You know, I put a lot of years in study into djembe music and song and culture. So the bata is relatively new to me. So I was just really excited and happy, and it was a big accomplishment for me to be able to go on a stage and be able to play, because I don't I don't play bata you know, religiously or in, you know, bembes or something like that. So it's not like it's a second nature drum to me, but it is becoming that. And I'm thankful to Kulu Mele and the training of, you know, Baba Kenny and Baba Wilkie, you know, because they're like masters at that particular drum. And so, yeah, it was definitely an accomplishment for me to be able to do that. And so that was one portion of transformation that I had. Another one would have been just working with Deborah and the team. You know, I was on the production team, and I was in kind of like working around evaluation and just thinking about like how not only did it transform myself, but like how do you document the transformation and the kind of like from a ritual perspective, I would say, I mean, I would definitely say that, like from an Africanist perspective, how do you document the passage, the rite of passage that we all went through? Because we actually go into that in the book. It's not something that it's kind of complex, you know. It's definitely very interesting to think about how we internalize different things throughout the entire process, from the beginning when you saw in the video, like us just kind of reflecting on the Orisha and what we kind of know from the Orishas, you know, from dancing Orisha, because, you know, from the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, like Orisha dance music and Yoruba music and dance and music was a part of the Kulu Mele repertoire. You know, that's like a root, you know, inside of it. So we had that experience, but then like trying to reflect on that experience and then say we're going to Cuba now, you know, and we're going to go to not just to study with anybody, but we're going to study with the ballet of, you know, folkloric ballet of Cuba, like professional dancers. And so like when you think of and musicians, so is the other piece that Aiden, and if you can, family, those that are watching, I would suggest you look at all of the videos, because like Aiden has certain things in some of the videos that aren't in the others. And one of the videos, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember which of our members, but she was saying that she really feels like a dancer. Like she got up in the morning and danced, and it was like dancing all day. It wasn't like here, you know.
I think it was Renelle.
Yeah, it was Renelle. Thank you, Amma. So Renelle kind of talked about this idea of like being a professional dancer 24/7, you know, like that's transformative. Because like here, you know, we have rehearsal 2 times a week. You know, we're practicing during the week, but even now, reflecting on COVID, we don't even have that as, you know. But it's just like how do you embody, like how do you reflect on that? So that was deep, you know. That was really powerful and transformative to look at, like how do I help other people document their transition as we're going to Cuba, you know. And then just from a spiritual perspective of, you know, an African American man, like learning from the diaspora, you know. One thing I like about Kulu Mele is like not only do they draw on like repertoire and things of the past, but we also, I mean, Mama Dottie is big on like finding like new and upcoming, like she's like she wants some new choreography, you know, like she wants some new stuff. Like, so we are constantly learning. We're not complacent, kind of like in our understanding of culture. So it's a balance between like reaching back and knowing what we know, you know, our music and our sound, but then we also kind of push forward in terms of like going to Cuba. Like we could have, like from the, like honestly, from the experience we had, we could have put together a story, you know, but we wanted to, you know, go to Cuba and learn the story. So that takes a lot of foresight. And I was just like, you know, really happy to be a part of that process, that transformative process, you know. Going to some sacred places in Cuba was like, you know, life-changing. You know, being a part of like different spiritual practices and ideas was transformative and just amazing. So yeah, I think the whole thing, you know, we all came out different. And I think that's what is beautiful about what we do, you know, is that we, like, our cup is never full, you know, it's never full. Like, and I'ma say it all the time. I'ma's like big on my screen, I'm looking at her. She's like, we got so much to learn. We got so much to learn. You got so much to do. It's never, you know, and even when I'm an elder, like, and I think, like, that's why we get along together very well, because we never feel like we like got it. Like we always want to move forward. Aiden, like, you know, you see Aiden, as much as we tell him he's a great cinematographer, he's like, yeah, but I'm got something else. I'm moving forward. I got some more. I'm working towards something. So I think, you know, even in life, that's a life lesson. Like you gotta, you can't be complacent. Like you have to, like, push your art form, push your life, push your, you know, even when everything feels like it's coming apart, you know, just be, just try to your best to move forward.
Be hopeful and know, well, for me, I'm a student first. I'm a student first. There's always something to learn. And my passion and my goal is to learn and to give back. My passion, my goal is to learn and to give to others, because this is a whole community, and we all need to together, we all need to know that, you know, and know when you say you're done, then that means you're not open enough to learn anything. So my prayer is for all of us in the company, in the dance community, to always be open in your heart, and know that no one's perfect, and we have so much work to do. We have so much work to do, and that's why I'm excited about that part.
Ira, when you,
that's Bob.
I knew you didn't have no problem learning the bata,
right,
Konkolo, but what I wanted you to make room, just a little room in your heart for. I wanted you to get in your heart, because I know Jim Bay took your heart. I wanted you to make a little space in your heart.
Baba.
Wait, let me finish.
Okay, Baba.
Space in your heart for this bata.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think, and when we did Ogun and the people, what made it come together for him is the singing. He told me, he said, man, the singing is what makes this thing work.
He was serious about that.
He said,
those papers.
This is what makes it work, you know. And I think that's when it came together for him. That little space I was talking about came together.
And I was just going to confirm that it's in the seed is planted.
The way that people are talking about learning and this deep commitment that's part of the culture of Kulu Mele is, I don't know that I saw that before this project, before being so closely involved, but really, Baba Wilkadati, I mean, the stories that you tell over and over again are about these transformative moments in the past when you learn with Enrique and when you got the book, you know, just the commitment to learning and to growing with not only technical knowledge, but with spirit and heart is what people are talking about now. And I don't know that, you know, we often think of education as just something that happens in schools, but I feel like Kulu Mele has, and the larger African dance community in Philadelphia has just stood so strong for what self-determination can get you and what it is to really create space for a kind of learning that really fills you up. And it was such a privilege to be part of it. I also feel like I feel like everybody learned. I mean, I feel like this is the best. I'm really proud of being able to do all of this work together. I mean, that book was only supposed to be 40 pages, right? It was going to be a little handout, but I think the culture of Kulu Mele just lifts everybody to your best.
We went to Cuba. They gave Dottie 20 minutes. They only gave us 20 minutes. When we got back home, she put the rest of the minutes to it. She added this and added that, and added that, and made it work. I just wanted to say that.
And I wanted to say that what I really had a problem with the piece, when I went there, he solved the problem, because I didn't know how to cast a spell, how to bring out casting a spell on the people. And when he did that, I said, that's my trip. I'm done. I got it. I'm done. I got it all now. I was so thankful for that scene.
Maybe you should say a little bit more about why you wanted to go there, why you chose Katoomba.
Oh, I chose Katoomba because I have been to Santiago 5 or 6 times. I can't even count them now. And the first time I went in 2000, I met Lamora. And I was taking classes. I saw, and I met Katoomba. She was dancing with Katoomba. She was one of their principal dancers. I met Katoomba and I started taking classes with them. And that I started forming a relationship with Katoomba. So, I was so amazed by a festival that they have there in July, the first week of July. And I went there for that festival, and that festival just blew my mind. I couldn't sleep. Every time I heard something, I say, what's that? What's that? It was a festival that everything that somebody in the culture studying Afro-Cuban dance, it was there for that week. And every day, every night, every morning, something was going on. And that was so amazing to me. And I knew that the people that I know here in Philadelphia would love to see that. So I came back and I started telling people about it. I went a couple of trips with different people, taking them back and forth to Santiago once a year. I might let a year go by and go back again and study with Katoomba, take classes. And then, of course, this beautiful idea came up with doing Ogun and the People, because I have seen it done different times in different ways. And I said, I want to do this story. And I have to figure out how to do it. So I had that vision, of course, and we got to Ogun and the People. I brought that vision to Deborah, and Deborah seen that vision, that she understood what I was saying. I mentioned the wolf first, because I go to him with everything. And I said, we can do this, and I just think how to get some help. And then, so that's why I went to Santiago, Katoomba, because I had a relationship with them, and they knew us. They was here.
They was here, and we did a show with them at the Church of the Advocate.
Right, Lawrence Salesman, I think, brought them here, and they, he said they got a group here, and their dancers couldn't come, and would you be interested in working with them and putting on a performance? I said, yes. And so, so everything just started growing through the years. So, that's why I went to Santiago. That's why I went with Katoomba. And Lamora, I got to know her as well. And it just seems like that was the way to go. And it was.
They had a couple dancers with them when they came, right?
Right. I only had a couple, just 2.
Yeah.
And Mama, didn't we share the stage with them at BAM?
Yes, we was at BAM with them.
We was at BAM with them, right?
Yeah.
Was we there twice? Only once with BAM, right?
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah.
So that's another experience. BAM.
Yes.
Brooklyn Academy of Music family.
Yes.
that don't know.
Another question from the audience was, out of all the many places you performed, do you have a favorite or a most memorable performance experience, either the performance itself or the place?
Bam.
Bam. I love that. Bam.
And because we got to meet, Chuck would bring different indigenous Africans there to perform, and we would get a chance. He made everybody like family.
Yep, brother and sister. Yep.
Yeah, so we come in and you gotta go. It was like being on Broadway to us to go to BAM.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Chuck Davis for family that don't know.
Yes, rehearse.
Yeah.
Together, but you got a chance to meet people. And when we went there, we made sure we was tip top in good top shape. When we went there, we knew what we was going to do.
Oh yes, you put a stamp on that stage.
We wasn't being intimidated by anybody because we know there's New York groups there.
Yes.
Right.
They knew their stuff, so we had to go with our stuff. And we knew our stuff, but Katuma was one of the groups that came there when we were there, and that was just lovely.
Yes, it was.
So that's one of my favorite places.
And I just want to say ashe to Chuck Davis. He's an ancestor now. For those folks that don't know who he is, you should definitely look him up in Dance Africa.
That thing we had to the ancestors in the beginning, that came from Chuck Davis.
Right.
Right. And Okuni, with that song, I go.
That came from Katuba.
That came from Manolo.
Yeah.
That song. That inspired me. I wanted to do that in the beginning for the ancestors because it's so beautiful.
Yeah, and them little girls, they did it so beautiful.
Right.
Yes, they did. So we used them too. The ones that didn't dance, we used them for singing.
Yes, man.
Yep.
With the candle barriers, all that came. We got that. All that idea came from Chuck's stuff from BAM.
That was Chuck Davis.
Yep.
They did an amazing job. Now that's not on the. Well, that's in it. That was a different video. What an amazing trip. We still riding.
Absolutely, Mama.
As we wrap up for today, my last question for all of you is what's next? I know it's hard to see far into the future where we are.
Not me.
Not for you. Okay, good. And I know that, but as you said, you're still riding this trip. So I'm curious, what is next, and where do you see this project and the film? Where do you see it all going?
One thing we do have is a commission coming up with Mbemba, Bangor, and Yusef Kabaka. So we keep, like I said, like Amma said, I like to keep the group learning, keep feeding their spirits.
Yes.
So now we're going West African.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we always going to keep Afro-Cuban on the side. Chuck always told me, never stop doing that.
Yep.
Keep that in your repertoire.
Yep.
Always. And so it will be there. And I know Amma will do that.
Absolutely.
We have a commission coming up and stuff. We just have to find a rehearsal space, and try to make this happen, where we can rehearse, safely and get this piece off of them, study with them.
Have a place for them to come.
Yeah, have a place for them to come. So that COVID is all in the way. But we got a plan.
When the weather breaks, we hopefully we can be able to be outside. So I'm looking forward to that. Socially distancing, but we gotta get the work done. We gotta get the work done.
You gotta get back in shape.
I have
out of shape.
A leg wide that I'm trying to extend and put on the whole company. So that's going to be a part of our next performance and maybe annual or performance, whatever we're going to do first. We might have something in the spring. It's just according with COVID, it's hard to say.
Right. We always usually do Odun Day. We don't know what's going to happen with like the different festivals and stuff. And right before this happened, we were planning and to go back to Cuba, you know, to actually not just djembe, drum and dance, but, you know, maybe even Ogun and the people. But I don't know if somebody else has an update on that. But like with me, it's just been like trying to keep drumming, trying to keep learning, you know, like you say, it never stops.
Never stops.
You're doing a nice job too.
Thank you, Baba.
Yeah, you got a feeder system from the school. That's beautiful.
Right.
The boys that come there, it's all in their heart and in
Right.
their heads.
And that's a powerful thing, Baba, because, you know, nowadays and with our young people, they need, like, so something about the arts, and like you said, it don't hit everybody, but when it hits people, it can save their life, you know.
Absolutely.
And especially our young people, you know, I like, you know, I like to think about that as Black History Month, but I like to celebrate it all year, you know. But when I think about the young people, because I work at, you know, I'm in the school systems, and I just had a couple of my, you know, I poured libation to a couple of my students just quite recently.
I'm so sorry, bro.
Yeah, and it's not easy, but you know, you do this work not just because of, you know, it's fun to drum and it looks great on stage and it has an artistic value, but like, what's the deeper meaning about humanity that we could teach people so that they can learn about themselves and have value in their life and what they can bring to the world, you know? So we're trying to humanize people and not just, you know, I mean, art for art's sake is, I guess, has its place, but we do art for a reason. You know, that's why I think Baba and, you know, named it Kulu Mele. It's the voice of our ancestors, you know, tradition, you know, lessons, you know, learn something, you know, save your life and make something out of your life. And so, you know, that's why the educational component is so very, very crucial to, I think, the mission of what we do. And that's one of the reasons why I love the company.
I'm glad you love the company, Ira.
I do.
We love you too, bro.
I love the company.
You know I need you.
Well, we inseparable. You already know.
Yep.
It's sanity. It's sanity. It takes you off the street corners. You know what I mean? So we saved Yusuf.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We saved Yusuf. It's sanity. It saved me. I worked 24 years. I would have went crazy just working where I was working. Mm-hmm. I didn't have Kulu Mele.
See?
They helped me deal with it all. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what he was saying. If you get that to the young people, it's sanity.
Yes, yes. Kulu Mele is therapy, release. Yes, Baba, yes.
And I like the fact that this is, you know, getting broadcast, because in all of these other cities, they're going through some of the same things we going through. So like for all of the dance companies and people who are doing education, like keep going, because like our young people, not just in Philly, but I'm sure in Baltimore, New York, you know, all over the world, like this is like, we know culture to help and save us, you know what I mean? And it definitely will. I mean, it has the power to do that, you know, if not just like what Baba said, because it takes time, it gets you out the streets. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, you can do something constructive.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, it feeds your spirit.
Right.
Folklore Project open up again. We'll be coming down there.
I just want to extend a very big thank you and a virtual applause for our panel, and to thank you all so much for joining us here today. I think it was great to be able to revisit the film and to have this really timely, you know, conversation. And I know that I speak for everyone at PFP that we're also looking forward to this being the beginning of more collaborations and continuing to work together as we all have in the past. So thank you so much to everybody. Baba Wilk, Mama Dottie, Ira, Alma, Aiden, and Deborah, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. And Aiden, I will be in touch with you.
Me too.
We're coming.
Me too.
You have to say what's next for you, Aiden. I think it's Mama Dottie is letting you know that something is next.
Yeah. Right. I wasn't really sure, but now it seems like it's
happening.
Naomi, thank you so much for having us today, and thank you to Eric also. You know,
Yes.
Thank
you, Eric.
Beautiful.
Let's say a big thank you to Eric.
Big thank you.
Yes, without him, this simply wouldn't be happening. So big thank you to Eric, our folk art and social change fellow.
Awesome.
And to all our staff and board and everybody in the wings, shall we say, in the wings and behind backstage. So yes, much love to everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's continue this celebration of love and rebalance and carry it forward. Yeah.
All right. So
All
long,
right.
everybody.
All right, peace.